What does it take to create a vibrant, thriving life? First, the sad news is that Thoreau was right. Most people are leading quiet lives of desperation, lacking in meaning, fulfillment, and vitality. But we choose more. We choose to create extraordinary lives. And the Art of Vibrant Living show entertains you with inspiration, empowerment, and education to create your life into a masterpiece. It's time. Let's vibe up. Aloha, y'all. Daniel Aaron here. I am your host, and this is the Art of Vibrant Living show. And we have a juicy show today. Maybe the juiciest topic of all. Shall we say it? Love, could it be? Before I tell you about our guest, amazing Amy, first, the show is for you to help you to create your life into a masterpiece. What does that mean for you? I don't know fully, but I bet you it involves freedom. It involves love. It involves vibrancy. And yes, hopefully we will entertain you. More importantly, though, empower you, which means also do something with this. This is my invitation. I implore you, take some of the wisdom. There will be a lot of it today, and do something with it. Apply it in your life. Now, that important word said, let me tell you about Amy Schoen, who is a certified professional life coach with a passion for helping singles and couples create loving and sustainable life partnerships. Amy maintains a professional certified coach through ICF, International Coach Federation, since 2016. She created the Motivated to Marry Dating Secrets coaching program. She's an award-winning author. She's appeared in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, CBS Radio. I could go on and on. I'm going to pause it there because even better, Amy's here with us live. Thank you for being with us, Amy.
Hi, thanks for having me, Daniel.
Oh, I'm excited. You know, and I teased in my little intro there about this is the juiciest show ever because it, about love and partnership in an area where, gosh, I mean, that's what's the most important thing in life, perhaps. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I have so many questions, my own personal questions, and questions about, how you work and how love works and successful relationships work. First, though, would you tell us, how'd you get into this?
Yeah, really. It wasn't something you go to college and say, I'm going to be a love coach. Yeah, I got married at 25 out of grad school. And I thought life was wonderful, and and then life goes on. We're working, and then I hit my mid-30s, and life takes changes. And my now ex-husband, he took a job out of town, and realized it was his way of separating himself from me. And next thing you know, I'm going through a divorce. And I'm in my mid-30s without kids. And that was really the heartbreak of my life. I never imagined to be there, goal-oriented, New Yorker here. And I went to grad school and, everything. And so I had a business. I actually had another business at the time. And my whole world fell. And I had to pick up the pieces. Fortunately, I had a good team of people who supported me, and I learned, and I wanted to learn, what did I miss? How did this happen? And so I started, learning and going to classes just like my clients do. And I discovered a coach when I turned 40. And I was meeting people. I'm outgoing and extroverted, but I wasn't meeting the right person who would give me the life that I was looking for. And so with a coach, he really helped me dial in what was important for me, what I needed and what my life vision was. And then, I did meet my husband and I got remarried at 42. And then I became the poster child for motivated for motherhood. And and I ended up actually having my son at 48. So
Hmm.
I'm an old chick with a teenager right now. It's been a journey. But people were coming to me and asking me, how did you meet your husband? And they knew I was pretty active and did a lot to meet him. I did everything, actually. I really did everything. And I didn't leave a stone unturned. And so people were coming to me and say, Amy, how did you do this? And I was at the time thinking I needed to change my profession. I had a women's clothing boutique, was a 7-day-a-week operation. And, I knew that I needed to downscale my life or change my work. And so I actually discovered coaching or a career coach.
Hmm.
And I went to a coaching school that they were in person in the DC area where I live. And I loved it. I said, this is my home. This is what I need to be doing. And I knew that I was really like good at supporting people and helping them. I just had to learn how to be a coach because
Hmm.
coaches don't tell clients what to do. They empower them and they ask the right questions. And so there are a lot of people out there calling themselves coaches. And my big thing, and I have a blog post coming out about it, is who's your coach? Like, what's their training? Why are they calling themselves a coach? You have these guys who call themselves, they're pickup artists, right? They're cute. They're in their 20s and 30s. I can help you meet women, but they're not helping them create sustaining relationships.
Hmm.
You could pick up a woman and make her feel like crap, and then that's what they do. But in coaching, it's empowering my clients to really look at who they are and what they need in a relationship, and really kind of find that for themselves.
Hmm.
So,
So, did I interrupt you?
no, go ahead.
Okay. So you said something that really caught my attention in there, which is when you, right after your first marriage ended and you were motivated and you got a coach, and I don't know if you said these words or you just kind of implied it, you started learning things, right? And as you said that, what triggered for me is, I think, tell me if this is accurate, but I think relationship, maybe like parenting, is one of those things that people tend to assume that we should already know how to do, right?
Exactly.
It's
And
like
I had a
children.
great exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, my parents were married for, 40 some odd years until my father passed.
Hmm.
And they had their challenges, but I always saw that they worked things out.
Hmm.
I didn't see what was going on behind back,
Right.
nobody knows what's sometimes going on behind closed doors in a
Right.
sense. And also because they had a good relationship, I assumed everybody knew how to do relationships.
Yeah.
And so when my ex-husband, oh my God, I mean, he wasn't a horrible person, but he didn't have the skills and
Right.
he had no communication skills and he just wanted everything to hide under the rug. We don't talk about it. And a lot of it happens from the family of origin. It's like, yeah, we know it's not good. We just don't talk about it. And
Right.
then if I'm not happy, I bolt. Well, that's not the way I was raised. The way I was raised was, we work it out. We find a solution. We find what works for both of us. So there's really about finding people who I call are we people, not me people,
Hmm. Hmm.
and have the capacity to be in a relationship. There are
Hmm.
relationship skills that have to be learned. And I didn't know any of this stuff. So I got a graduate degree. I really kind of went on a journey. And I went to classes. I went to a group coaching and I hired the coach myself because I like my crap worked on. I like the individual attention. And so, it was the combination of all of that. and being a seeker of knowledge and reading books and reading all the books that were going on. This is in the 90s. That was my biggest time when I was growing and learning. And, we had the love languages came out, and we had some other really book, there was some not so good dating books, but at least what they did teach us is to set our boundaries. And it escapes me. There are a couple, and there are men from Mars and women from Venus. And yeah, I mean, my ex-husband was a classic Martian. I mean, I'm fed into everything. So, and there's another one I love called Crazy Time from Abigail Trafford. She talks about what happens when relationships split up. It's called Crazy Time. And I was the poster child for Crazy Time. Let me just tell you. I mean, I discovered a whole world that existed once I went through my divorce. It was really a period of growth for me, but I did things that may not have served me. But
well, you got to tell us now. What you're teasing us with Amy's
I probably
Crazy
dated guys
Time.
I really shouldn't have dated. Probably got intimate too quickly without finding out stuff. Just because I wanted to prove myself and that I was, desirable and worthy. And, my self-esteem was definitely stepped on, hurt through my divorce. And I had to work hard to, I had a therapist, and then my therapist no longer served me when I started dating, because she was a 65-year-old woman who never had to date since she was in college, right? And what did she know? And she was a nice person, but she kept saying, well, just get more information. And I'm like, no, that's not working. So I was in a support group for people going through divorces.
Oh, okay.
And they brought in speakers. And I heard this guy talk, and I said, I really like what he's saying. It resonates with me, that there were like, certain kind of plans, and you have to look at your life and create an ideal life, and all the things that it really resonated with me, and dating mistakes and dating myths. And so I signed up for his program. And the rest is history, and he helped me. And when I met my husband, we went to couples coaching with my coach. And he was very instrumental, in helping us really look at how our dynamic was, what worked, and what we have to be careful of too. Because, there's a dance that goes on, and whether it works or it doesn't work. And so I learned a lot about my husband, and we developed a plan for when things get hard. And I recommend, I do couples coaching actually, and I would definitely recommend that they how do you want to be when things get tough? How do you want to be with one another, and develop a plan before. It's like an insurance plan before you need it. You need to have it. So, yeah.
Well, so let's get into some of this. What I'm thinking about is myths, right? And I thought of that myth earlier, like we should just already know this, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I think you just brought up to me another myth that I've heard, and I'm sure I even thought at some point in my life too, which is that, well, if it's hard, then it's a bad sign. Like that it shouldn't get hard. Love should be easy, right? Is that something that goes around in people's
Well, I
thoughts?
think what I see is when it's the right relationship, there is a flow.
Okay.
It shouldn't be hard, actually.
Mm.
But you do need to know a way. The conflict's going to happen. That's inevitable. So you can't have two different people and not have conflict or disagreements, or I want to do this and I want to do that. And that's what I'm talking about. The we thing is the compromise. What's the compromise? And so, but what I find is that you do need to understand how you work in relationship and what the dynamic is. So let me give you an example. So when there's conflict, my initial reaction, okay, as an extrovert and as is to want to, let's talk about it. Let's deal with it now. Don't let it fester, right? Don't go bed mad or all that kind of stuff. And my husband, who's an introvert, his process is he pulls into himself and he needs to reflect and think. And again, what I learned when I was working both I've taken relationship coaching and stuff, is you can't work with someone when they're triggered.
Right.
So to having a cooling off period and agreeing, saying, hey, let's just talk when you feel like when we're both calmer.
Well,
Well, my
so
husband,
sorry,
yeah.
let me interrupt on that for a second, Amy, if I can, or just to interject, because I want to hear the rest. But so does that mean, I want to make this really practical for the audience. Does that mean if either or both of the people involved realizes they are triggered, they're upset, they're activated, they're, angry, sad, whatever it is, that should be a timeout? Like, let's just pause this now. We'll come back to it
Yeah,
later. Is
before we
that?
say something we regret,
Yeah. Yeah.
that you can't take back.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some things my husband said to me that it depends on how good your memory is, right? But it's ouch, I mean, the ones that are closest to you hurt you the most.
Yeah.
That's natural, because they're so close to you. They don't mean to, but everybody's got their little shell. And and I work with a lot of people who are post-divorced.
Mm.
And even if they've been widowed, no marriage is perfect. I've
Mm.
heard widowers and widows tell me, we had these issues, I mean, and we had a good marriage. And so, things
Yeah.
always change, in the future. And so it's like, what do we want to do different next time? How do we want to be? And how do we be more aware and conscious and intentional about how
Mm.
we go into relationships?
Mm. Well, so let's come back, because I interjected there for a moment, and you were talking about your
So
extroverted tendencies.
he has to leave. He leaves. And there's a funny story about we were on our honeymoon, and I take forever to get ready, the female shower and the hair and everything. And I said, call the restaurant and find out about, where, our reservation, and just confirm it. And then I come out, and then I said, well, did you find out where this and this? And he just like, cause he's like, I can't win. Right. And then so he leaves, and so just because of the work we did, then he comes back, and then I was taught in my family just to kind of use humor to kind of deflect things. I said, so how far did you get? And he goes, to the elevator. And so then we talked it out, and he said, we were newer couple back then. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm the strategic, I'm the one who thinks of all the details, but I have to think it through first before I ask him to do something. So,
Mm.
so now, we're learning how to be with one another. So,
Mm.
cause he wants to do a good job. So to him, he was hearing criticism.
Mm.
I wasn't criticizing him. I was just checking it out. So, again, everybody's got their come from place. So,
Mm. Mm.
um, yeah.
Well, so what else? What are the things? I mean, the things that you learned, but what are the common mistakes, or are there other myths? What are the things that where we unconsciously shoot ourselves in the foot when it comes to
Yeah, so I
relating?
see a lot of my clients, first of all, they're looking at the wrong things when they look at people. So one of the things I do is I kind of adjust their dating radar, is I get really deep into what is their life vision, what do they want for
Mm.
their life first. Because
Mm.
if you're not going in the same direction, and if you don't want the same things, it's not going to work. You can be attracted to someone, you can have a passionate relationship, but in the long run, I've seen this doesn't sustain it if two people have different divergent goals. And then the second thing is your values have to be aligned, your core relationship values. So I really dig deep into that. We really pull them out. I get a list of values for my clients. I can get about 24. I've got 50 for one of my clients, 50
Mm.
values. And they're described. They're not just like integrity. They're described as, financially responsible and aware, you're mindful about money, or, whatever it is. So, I have an independence value. And a lot of my clients do, but I have more than one independence value. I have a work independence value and I have a financial independence value. So really kind of defining what these values are, and then we look at which ones need to be in the relationship, and not all need to be in the relationship or
Mm,
shared.
mm,
So one of my Amy values is being an independent creative entrepreneur. It's like, my core courses, I have a book, I'll get it right this time. I'm constantly like you in creative mode. And so we share that. I love being around other creative, independent entrepreneurs. They tend to be my friends.
mm,
Um, but I don't need my husband to be that.
mm,
And so I see that people make mistakes all the time, and they're cutting out good people, on the wrong things.
mm.
And so to make sure that they're looking at the right things, that's kind of what I do as a coach. And the third thing is, we have our must-haves and would like to haves, and making sure again that you got the right things in the right categories. Sometimes, I had a 5'2" woman said he has to be over 6 feet. And I said to her, if he had everything you wanted and he was 5'8", would you date him? And she kind of giggled at me, like she didn't want to say that she's holding this as a non-negotiable, but that's her choice. But I
Mm,
just want to make sure people understand what they're choosing,
mm,
and that they are making those choices. So, having people, and that's what my coach did for me. I mean, I almost missed my husband, and he's like, wait, take a second look, this
mm,
guy, because he was quiet and more, he's great one-on-one, but he's not the life of the party, and he's not the, gonna like make you laugh in a group of people, but he's a solid person, and we enjoy our time together.
So does that mean, if I extrapolate a little bit, when you were early getting to know him, because there's part of you that would have liked or likes a guy who's the life of the party, that you wanted that to be part of him, and so maybe you were seeing that as a must have this, but really it turned out that, well, that could be good, but that's not the most important thing. Is that right?
Well, and the thing is, the type of guy who's normally the life of the party, he's a little bit more of a me person
Mm,
and not always a we person. And
mm,
I like having a supportive partner, especially as an entrepreneur.
yeah.
And he is, and so the thing is, I don't need a partner to have that value, but I need them to support it, appreciate it, and respect me for that.
Mm, mm,
And
mm,
I had a lot of guys who were interested in me at the time. I actually had another kind of business. I actually owned a women's clothing boutique.
mm,
And so these guys would walk into my store, like check me out, like say, hi, how are you? And then run the other way because they're like, I'm not what they need. They want a
mm,
different kind of woman in their life. And so, I'm I'm not a time person, love languages. I'm a quality. When I'm with you, I'm there with you. I'm present. But I'm not a quantity person. I'm a
mm.
quality person, let's just say. And
Gotcha.
you have to know what you want and what's important to you. And so it's really comes down to what's interesting about fit. Is this person a good fit for me?
Mm,
And when it doesn't work out, it's not about you're not a nice person and I didn't enjoy being with you, but you're just not a good fit for me.
right.
And my clients are much more confident, and they're able to say no thank you in a nice, respectful way. And they just are much more at ease with the dating process.
Mm.
That's what I hear, when they've done the coaching. Yeah.
Well, that's great, because I'm single, and so I have some observations around the dating world, and so here's a couple things that will maybe be a segue if you're up for it. I know that a lot of your clients have success with online dating, right? And of course, online dating has changed the dating world significantly. Um, and I see periodically, I see people, I see women who have profiles that say, I hate this, I hate dating, or I hate online dating. And my response when I see that is kind of like, I think I'm just going to pass on that, because if that's where the energy that, but let me put it this way. Is it true that online dating is a big part of your world and you've seen success there? And if so,
Yeah.
how does it work? How do people mess it up and how do people succeed?
Yeah. So again, people who have a sense of adventure and they're just going to go out and see who's out there and they take it. So online dating is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to reach people you normally never meet,
Mm-hmm.
even if they could be in your backyard.
Hmm.
Because you just don't go in the same places, you don't cross the same paths, or you do cross paths with that person and you just haven't connected.
Hmm.
So, and the other thing is you can go. So the most successful is definitely online dating, where 80% of my successfully coupled clients have met online, and I've helped hundreds of people meet their mates. And not everybody's motivated to marry. Some people are looking for what I call seriously searching for a long-term committed relationship, and it's a choice. So in coaching, it's about what you're choosing. So there's no judgment here. I'm not one person that everybody has to get married. If the person wants to get married and that's their goal, then I'll support them on their goals. If they don't want to get married and there are reasons for that, especially with my boomer clients, a lot of it's financial, or, there's just a lot of reasons why people can't, or don't want to get married at a later point in life. So, or even in an earlier point in life. I have a nephew who's now 50 and they've been together 25 years and they're not married, but they live in the same house and they are acting like they're married.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the state of California would consider them at this point, right? So the second way my clients meet is through introductions. We
Mm-hmm.
meet people through people, but you have to learn how to ask. So most people are asking in a way that you're not going to get help. It's like, do you know anyone? Well, that's like a deer in the headlights. It's like they can't think of anyone. But, and through my training, I teach you to say the things that you need, the 5 to 7 things that you want to meet, the kind of person you want to meet. And so it jogs their memory, or they're going to think about it. But we also talk about who are you, where are you going, where are you hanging out, and people do meet people through other people. So really kind of maximizing that opportunity. And the third, of course, is where you hang out and where you spend your time. But, a lot of us are very busy. My clients are busy. I have single parents. They're taking care of their parents. It's a lot of times, getting out is not always as easy as they would like.
Hmm.
And some people, are afraid of, getting sick. I mean, if they have certain places, I have an elderly parent, so I choose very carefully where I go and when I go and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So, that's the third way that people have met in my clients. So the online dating strategy has definitely been a good way to meet, and you get to see if people are motivated, if they're honest.
Hmm.
Yes, there was a whole thing about scamming and recognizing scammers, but you can be scammed in a bar. You can meet somebody in a bar, and I had a guy who came home and stalked me. I mean, so you don't know who you're meeting. And so, it's all about how you qualifying people. I think some
Hmm.
people really like the process because they're vetting people,
Hmm.
and there's a way to vet people. And so you're having a conversation, and then eventually, one ways that my clients get away from the scammers is that they have to set up that they're going to meet the person with
Right.
in
Well,
2 weeks
let's
to a month. Somebody,
hold
they,
on. We lost you there
yeah,
for a
yeah, I'm
second,
sorry.
Amy. We lost you
Did
for
you
a
lose
second.
my video, my audio too?
We lost all of it for a second. I think what
Oh,
you were saying though is that um, one of the sort of parts of the vetting process for people and a way to avoid scams is to actually meet someone. Is that what you were saying?
yes, exactly. Like
Yeah.
when people put you off, and scammers won't get on video, although some of them are getting sophisticated and they will get on video.
Uh-huh.
But my clients, when they meet the right person, and this happens, all the time. And I just recently had 2 clients who met really great guys, and a guy, they message, and then they get on a Zoom call, and then they'll meet. And
Hmm.
usually this all happens within 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
And if somebody's putting you off, then you have to start wondering what's going on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And, is their story, valid? So, I mean, I
Hmm.
have a woman up in Canada, and she met this guy, and he's in work, and he's in the US for a business deal, and he's selling a business, and that got my radar going, and she says she's done video calls with him, and he says he lives 80 miles away, and then there's another excuse why they can't get together.
Hmm.
And so this is going on and on. I said, and I'm like, honey, I'm just want you to be careful. This could be a scam. And so we're watching it. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's a different situation. I did have a situation where they met, and he was in DC and she was in Australia. And they did get on Zoom, and they spent a lot of time together, and it was during the pandemic. So he would have gone to Australia like that.
Hmm.
But because of the pandemic, she ended up coming here because of she was able to quarantine back then before the vaccine,
Hmm.
quarantine and have time to go back to work because it was her summer vacation actually. So and they're married now. So she ended up coming here. And yeah, so it's kind of cool. Yeah.
So here's a question then. There is I don't know if it's a myth, conventional wisdom. There's something that I've heard anyway that says if we are ready for relationship, then we will find someone. If we're not ready, it doesn't matter where we search or what our profile says or even where we are. Do you think there's any truth to that?
Well, there is about a readiness factor, and that's one of the things that, I help my clients, work on to see if what's stopping them. And, if they have a very demanding job, that they don't have time for a relationship, or
Hmm.
sometimes there's a health issue that needs to they need to get over. I've had clients, get new knees and hips and backs and, you know, so things do happen. I call them roadblocks, external
Right.
roadblocks.
Right.
There's the internal roadblocks, is the mental thing, what you're telling yourself. And so we look at what internal roadblocks. It's the I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm
Hmm.
not worthy, I'm not thin, I'm not young, I'm not, tall. I got guys telling me because they're 5'7", they have trouble with women. Well, the right woman's not going to care.
Hmm.
So, um, and so, yeah, so the I'm not, we look at the internal stuff, what's holding them back, and then as well as the external things. And so, sometimes my clients, I'm a life coach by training. We got to look at your whole life in a holistic system and say, is this working? Do you have space for a
Hmm.
person to come into your life? Because
Yeah.
person wants your time. And so if you say, I only have 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon, most guys will like it. See you later.
Right.
They want to know that you're willing to make them a priority. And both people want to know that they're a priority as well.
Sure.
Um, so, a lot depends on that. A lot depends on the children, if they're kids, some of the women come to me when the kids, go off to college,
Right.
because then now they feel like they can put the attention back on
Hmm.
themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Well, and now I'm remembering as we're talking about this that you have a tool that helps people know their level of readiness. Is that right?
yeah, so I created a quiz. It's called the mtmquiz.com, where you can go and there is about 20 questions, or 19, 20 questions. And it's really about, seeing how ready you are for a relationship, and, what's your level of understanding, and do you where are your holes? What do you not know? I mean, we
Hmm.
don't know what we don't know. And so things like, would you know time frame? Do you have a time frame that you want to be in a relationship? Now, some people, want to be married within a year's time. They come to me and they say, I want to meet somebody in 6 months and be married within a year.
Hmm.
And that can happen, and a lot that tends to be more and more younger clients. Where
Mm,
my older clients are a little bit more open, and they're not as time oriented. It's more about the relationship and the quality of the relationship. And
yeah.
again, sometimes, it depends on the situation. I had a client, she was in her 40s, she met a single dad, and they were happy, to get, she was involved in the kids' lives. And then they went on, then I saw that she got married. It was 6 years later.
Mm,
And it was on Facebook, actually. I'm like, Karen, did you get married? And yeah, and it turned out that the kids were launched and they felt more
mm,
comfortable. When like college is done and the finances is done, that sometimes is when people get married. So a lot, there's so many factors,
mm.
and so each person has to make a decision. I mean, I have a single dad right now that I'm coaching, and he met somebody online, and he's actually in not in an area where there's a lot of women. So, he found someone wonderful, and he's divorced, and he's not so ready to get remarried so soon. But we did talk about a commitment ceremony where, they show that they're committed to each other. And she still has kids, and
Mm.
they both have kids that are still in school, like, grade school and high school and things like that. So, um, this whole timing, when it
Mm.
comes to relationships.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of timing, time is flying by. So let me check with you. Is there anything that I haven't asked you, or anything that you want to bring forward?
Well, I just want to share that there is a process, and people think, like just you say, why do I have to work at love? You know, we work at weight loss. We get a coach for finding jobs. And sometimes, we need somebody to lead us through the path. And I like to think that I shorten my clients' learning curve, or at least improve their learning. And so really having a three-step process. The first step is to really clarify what you want and what's important to you, and that's your life goals and values and must-haves and would like to haves. The second step is to figure out where you're going to connect with those people. And we connect through values and interests and many different things, and we talk about how you're going to connect. And so I create what I call a personalized dating plan. So I have a way to look at, what sites you should be on, and what groups you should look at. And the third step is, when you meet that person, is now what? And I help my clients get into a sustaining relationship.
Mm.
And so knowing and having the tools and the knowledge to take that relationship to the next step, where you're getting your needs met, and you're able to really have the relationship of your dreams. I mean, that's what my clients get. I had a client just recently told me, she says, this is the best relationship. She's in her 50s, never married, but she had relationships. And she says, this is the best relationship I've had in my life. I can talk to him about anything, and we just work things out, and he gets me. And they are having the time in their life. They went to Iceland together, and my clients are having amazing lives. I mean, it's just I'm a in the sandwich gen here, so I just live vicariously through my clients. They go off to Australia and Hawaii and all these fun places, and they're doing African safaris, and I mean, yeah, they're going all over the world together, Japan, and they're having the time of their lives. They're enjoying each other's families, especially if they're in their golden years. And you can have that. Why not? Why not you? That's what I just say. I'm kind of like hope is springs eternal kind of person.
I love it, and I amplify what you're saying. That not only is there learning involved, like one of my core perspectives and beliefs in life is anything that's worth doing or experiencing or creating, it's worth, one, doing poorly at first because nobody's good to start with, and two, to doing it over and over again and getting help. I remember when I was in college, I studied philosophy, and one of the core things I learned was I don't know anything. right? So it became clear for me, if I don't know anything, then I can learn. And if there are people that have experience and knowledge that are ahead of me, well, I'd be silly not to learn from them and make it easier and faster. And we're at such an amazing time in the world where we can connect with somebody like you who's an expert in this, who's worked out a system.
And I have clients all over the world,
Mm.
Yeah. So I mean, now with Zoom and everything, it's just, I only speak English. My Spanish is very rusty.
Well, even that won't be an obstacle for much longer with the way
With the
translation
translation and AI
Yeah.
translation. Oh, wow. That would be exciting.
So let's double check this. The quiz that you offered, that's a free gift, right? So anybody can
Exactly.
take that, no cost, mtmquiz.com. And beyond that, Amy, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Well, my website's Motivated to Marry. I have I've been blogging a lot, so there are a lot of great articles. I'm on YouTube. But I send out a weekly newsletter, and so you just kind of will start becoming in my world and invited to things. And I have a workshop coming up this weekend, the Get Ready for Love workshop. And so, you'll get to know what's going on. If you want to come and learn more, then I welcome you to do that. Some people like to hang out, and one of my clients said, I got your newsletters for 2 years and finally, bit the bullet and kind of came to one of your events. That's okay too. And then you have those, the little rabbits who are like, yeah, oh, sign me up. I want to talk.
Yeah.
I want to get to here sooner than later. And I do really well with those clients too. So I'm a very open person. I like to meet people. I'm open to have a conversation. Not everyone's ready to do this work. Not everyone is ready, from many aspects. And so we talk about if this is a good time or a good fit and how I can support you best.
Well, that's beautiful. Perfect. I love it. I'm going to take the quiz and find out myself. So, and I encourage y'all in the audience to, if you got a feeling like, it's possible for you to have more love, better love, whether you're already in relationship or wanting one, why not take a step? Motivatedtomarry.com is Amy's website. And Amy, I think that brings us to our last question, our big question. So big that you can't get it right, but you also can't get it wrong. You've got all this experience and knowledge. You built a beautiful system. You've helped so many people. Now I am asking you to take all of your knowledge and experience and bring it into one thing, distill it. So if you had just one thing you could say to our audience to help them live their most vibrant, thriving life, what's that one thing?
Be yourself. Attract people who appreciate you, and don't change because you can't keep it up. But just, tap into who you really are and just love yourself for who you are.
That's beautiful. I love that. And it's one of those ones for me personally that I tried so hard to be who I thought they wanted me to be early in my life. And then of course the best case scenario with that is I get somebody into a relationship, but they're not in a relationship with me because now I'm somebody else. So I love what you said. Be yourself. That's awesome. All right. Yeah. Amy, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate all your wisdom and your care. It's obvious how much you care about what you do and your passion for it. So thank you. And to our audience, thank you for being here because you make this show happen. I love that you're not just interested in vibrant living, you're doing something about it. Oh yeah, and on that note, do something about it, right? Take some of what Amy brought to you today and apply it in your life. Do like me and go take that quiz, join for Amy's newsletter, go to a workshop, something, apply it in your life. Y'all, thank you so much for being with us. Mahalo for tuning in to the Art of Vibrant Living show, y'all. I'm Daniel Aaron, and may you live with great vibrancy.